Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 6:45 PM and a quorum of members is present. So the meeting of the Board of Education of the School District of New Berlin is called to order. Please call the roll.
Mr. Arend,
Here.
Mr. Helmer,
Here.
Ms. Konick,
Here.
Ms. Peterson,
Here.
Ms. Schultz, Mr. Seidel,
Here.
Mr. Zelinski.
Here.
I would entertain a motion to recess to closed session.
I'll make a motion to move into closed session pursuant, or to adjourn to closed session pursuant to section 19.85 1C E and F of the Wisconsin statutes to consider approval of closed session minutes and the employment performance matters and compensation matters pertaining to staff.
Second.
I have a motion by Ron and a second by Renee. Please call the roll.
Mr. Seidel,
Yes.
Ms. Konick,
Yes.
Mr. Arend,
Yes.
Mr. Helmer,
Yes.
Ms. Peterson,
Yes.
Mr. Zelinski.
Yes.
We are moving into closed session and will return to open session around 7 PM. It is now 7 PM and we are returning from closed session into open session. In recognition of the serious and important nature of the efforts here, we will join in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. For all who are able, please rise.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And now for those who wish to prepare for the meeting, we will have a moment of silence. This is a public meeting of the Board of Education. Prior to this meeting, notice was given to the public last Friday by providing the agenda to the city library. The agenda was also posted on the district website. A copy of the agenda was forwarded to the Journal Sentinel and the Waukesha Freeman, all of which have filed for request for all public notices. Joe, do we have any recognitions?
We were actually scheduled to have,
Oh, that's right.
we scheduled to have recognitions tonight. Because there was a state track event over the weekend, it was a quick turnaround to have some of those athletes show up tonight, so we're going to invite them to the next meeting.
Excellent. Privilege of the floor?
None.
Looks like it. I do not have a president's message because I am not the president, and I will let Janet have one next week. Administrative team report.
I do not have an update. I'll defer to the items in open session.
Okay. Consent agenda. Are there any items that should be pulled out for separate consideration? Do I have a motion for the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Ron and a second by Renee to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all of those in favor, please raise your right hand. All of those opposed, please raise your right hand. Motion approved. Regular agenda. Preliminary budget first read, Joe?
Yes. So we had provided in your board packet the preliminary budget approval report that we had pulled together. And we also have a short presentation for you tonight that highlights the several items that are in that packet. So let's just start with what is a preliminary budget and how does this all work? So we need approval essentially for purposes of operating the district prior to the actual budget being approved in October. It sounds backwards, but that's how school finance and school operations work. That you wouldn't actually approve a budget already when the fiscal year starts July 1. So I apologize to you, Mr. CPA, about the backwardness of this. And essentially, the preliminary budget sets the fiscal priorities for the upcoming school year. Then in October, as mentioned, after we determine several things, including enrollment, and then the revenue limit and general state aids are better known, then we will have the budget, the actual budget approval in October. And then we will make adjustments literally, it seems like every day between now and then, as new information comes in. So let's start with the two education funds, and that's the general fund, Fund 10, and then there's a separate fund, which is a special education fund, Fund 27. So these are the general fund revenue assumptions. We are, unlike many districts across the state, we are actually increasing enrollment and FTE. A lot of that is because of the newly formed four-year-old kindergarten. But at the same time, the other thing that Patrick and his research has done is that we continue to actually gain more students as kids progress through the system. In some cases, not in all cases, but in some cases it's because of the influx of students coming in from private schools, usually like around 7th grade, and then in some cases in 9th grade. And so that's why we will actually experience a trend going positively as opposed to the other way around. Now, what I will say is that that phenomena of declining enrollment is real in Wisconsin. I do think that we are a destination district. People actually seek us out. We actually, I don't remember the stat, but I think it's over 80% of the parents that we actually surveyed moved to New Berlin because of the schools. And so that, again, tells us that we are a destination district, unlike other districts where it's the opposite. They either are moving and then open enrolling out, or are just looking for a different place to move to educate their children. The other thing that I want to share with you is that we are anticipating a reduction in state aid. And this is going to matter significantly when we get to the tax levy piece of the budget. And I'm also going to be explain how, when we reduce state aid, what does that mean to local property taxpayers? Then we do know, because we're in the second year of our biennial budget, that we have a $325 increase in per pupil revenue limit. And here's where you'll see that actually, because of that state aid reduction, it's almost doubling the tax levy as a result of that. Then we are seeing a $9.9 million increase in general fund revenue. And part of it is because of the decision that we made last year, which was to shift $6 million from fund balance into Fund 40, or I'm sorry, we did that last year. And then this year, we're shifting some from Fund 41 back to the general fund. And so, again, we're assuming $2 million of real dollars lost in state aid, but again, we recover that with local property taxes. And then there will be a $1.9 million increase in the revenue limit based on enrollment and enrollment. Again, more details, specific details can be found in that budget booklet that was shared. This just kind of gives you a pie graph of the projected revenues by source. Just to highlight, the majority of our revenue comes from local property taxpayers. And then the next biggest revenue stream is from the state. And then we do receive other funds, but not to the degree that we do from both the state and from local property taxpayers. I came from a small rural farming community in central Wisconsin, and it almost was a complete opposite of this, where most of the dollars were actually coming from the state. Minimal dollars were actually coming in from the local revenue sources, taxpayers. And a lot of it is based because of the, I guess I would call the wealth of our community. Now moving on to expenses. The board did approve a 2.63% increase in base wages and then the benefits that are attached to that. We also make staffing adjustments based on enrollment. We also, I did inform the board of the changes that we made to the library model due to attrition. And we also, because we have spec ed needs, those needs continue to rise. So we adjust our staffing accordingly in that capacity. We are annually always increasing our student transportation per our contract. They usually never go down. As I had mentioned to the board leading up to this presentation, we've seen starting last year a significant increase in healthcare costs. And I don't think that we're alone. I know that other districts in the area, Waukesha County, are dealing with the same thing. This is probably one of the largest increases that we've experienced, probably in the last 10 years. So between last year and this year, that's kind of what keeps Patrick and I up at night, is how are we going to balance budgets with those types of increases? Well, we do that by adjusting the budget, and we need to reduce in the department budgets in order to accommodate for those increases in healthcare. And then we did make a slight increase in general fund transfer to special education. Again, more details can be found in your budget. Again, another pie chart of where, obviously we are a people-driven system, employer, so a lot of our dollars are spent on people. And so you'll see the salaries and benefits there. Purchase services. Patrick, can you remind us what purchase services are?
Sure. Purchase services, unlike salaries and benefits, that's where we are actually paying somebody to do work in our district. A purchase service is when we don't hire somebody to do that work, we actually pay somebody else to provide that service. And so at least, I would say 60% of our purchase services are directly related to contracts that we get with a different company instead of hiring those people ourselves.
So some of those positions would include, we subcontract with Mid-America for some of our cleaning services, and then we also work with a company, a vendor to do our substitute teacher rotations as well.
Real quick, Joe, is Boston under that too then?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And then again, just some other minor, but again, the majority is people. Now moving on to the special education revenue expense assumptions. Again, we are expecting a small increase in revenue. The board approved the respective increase, same as with the general fund. And then obviously we're seeing that same increase in healthcare benefits and so on. We do provide, so other than the transportation company, Mitch, as you just mentioned, we actually do have our own charter service as well. Now, these are for like students with disabilities. These are with transporting students between Ike and West for classes, because we don't necessarily always offer a certain class at both Ike and West. And then also transportation to students that are, at WCTC with dual enrollment courses and so on. Then obviously you see the 3% increase in student transport. And then because our student with disability needs are increasing, this is purchase services again. We work with CISA, who's our regional co-op, to help us with specific support to support our students with disabilities. And we're seeing an increase in that as well. And once again, you're going to see where the revenue comes from. The one thing that Patrick and I want to clarify here is that it was actually, Spec Ed was supposed to have been funded fully, and then at one point the state said, well, we'll fund it at 66%. Well, that never ever materialized, and so we do still make transfers from Fund 10 in order to support some of the students with disabilities. But that's the revenue, and then again, the expenses, you're going to see a lot of the same thing for people.
Just going back to the special ed assumptions, it says board approved 2.93 salary increase, and then the slide before it's 2.63.
That's a typo.
Okay, oh, no, that's okay, I was just curious.
It should be the previous number, sorry. And as mentioned, we are early. This is the first step in the budgeting process. There are still a lot of variables, all of those that you see there. As far as state legislation, I do know that the budget surplus has been a real big talk. What are we doing with those dollars? Are we going to provide tax relief? Are we going to support school districts, particularly in special ed funding? Well, that did not, again, materialize. There's talk that it's being possibly brought back on the table. We're not overly optimistic. So we are just planning for what we know today, which is that hasn't passed, that budget surplus bill has not passed. And then again, there will be changes between now and the final budget in October. So we are unique in the school district of New Berlin, and we have debt within the operating budget, which is substantive. It's a substantial amount. And that's mainly due to the district a long time ago, even before I got here, building Ronald Reagan and essentially adding on and kind of redefining what New Berlin West was. Spent tens of millions of dollars, but the decision was made that rather than go to referendum, that we would pay off that debt within the operating budget. These are real dollars, once again. Now, again, the freight train that I saw 19 years ago when I first got here, it was like a 20-plus year process of, oh my, how are we going to navigate and manage this? Well, the light is at the end of the tunnel. With the plan that Patrick and I proposed last year, we were able to bridge these gaps. And so for next year, we have $5.1 million of debt that will be paid off. And then in fiscal year '28, that drops slightly to 4.9. Then we see a nice drop in 2029. And then in 2030 is where we will see some really big relief. But again, we've got a plan to navigate this issue. So we are poised for success as far as navigating this. Again, the X factor has been health insurance, though, the last couple of years. Our guess is, we're going to have to probably make some plan design changes to health insurance after next year, and we will be bringing those proposals to you over the course of the year heading into the future year. Fund balance, essentially through GASB 54, which is our accounting source that we have to use. There are no guidance or requirements, but we do have a district policy that does say that we need to maintain a general fund balance of at least 10%. You'll note that the fund balance has gone up, it's gone down, it's gone up, and it's gone down. And quite honestly, the ups and downs have been strategically done in order to manage the debt within the operating budget and then just budgets from year to year. But at the end of the day, we are still doing quite well. We have a healthy fund balance. It does help with our Moody's rating, which is AA2, and we continue to manage that as well. And then this is the estimated tax levy and the impact. Note that I think 12 out of the 16 years, we've been able to actually drop the levy, but we've actually got down to $5.87 back in 23-24, which was almost double of what it was, double less of what it was back in 2011 when I first got here. And so, again, lots of biennial budgets since then, a lot of things that we cannot control. But again, because of the 15% reduction that we anticipate in state aid, that's where a lot of this increase is going to occur. What does that actually mean? We're looking at about $158 gross school tax levy on a home valued at $350,000. And then the last bullet point, I do want to just kind of mention that while the tax levy change over the past 5 years has been, we've actually dropped it by just over 13%. Inflation over the past 5 years has been at 21+%. So we are actually also fighting the inflationary issues as well and still able to manage. State equalized aid. This is what I wanted to share as far, this is just that these charts are examples only, but essentially you get a pot of money from the state, and that's that $50 million. There are revenue limit factors from legislation that occurred back in 1993. And so essentially, if your state aid goes down, it doesn't mean you get less money. It just means that more money comes from local property taxpayers. It's the other way around. If we get more state aid, then it lessens the impact on our local property taxpayers. It's the same pot of money. And the other thing that I do want to mention, though, as far as the state equalization aid, when big school districts, and I know I've shared this with previous board members before, but for the new board members, but when school districts like MPS or Madison or Racine or some of these larger districts, they go to referendum, it negatively impacts us. So the more they spend, the more money they get from the state, which doesn't make a lot of sense, especially when I don't believe they're managing the dollars like we are. But that's just the way that it works through the equalization aid formula. So that, and because MPS recently passed a very large referendum, other districts have passed large referendums. I think Madison, Patrick, also had passed one a couple years ago?
Madison did, they don't have as big an impact as Racine did. Not sure, I think Oshkosh may have.
Yeah. So, I mean, we just, it's just like, just keep kicking us around and we'll continue to manage our dollars as best we can. And we do. So there are other forms of aid, you know, so we are eligible for certain aids and in some cases we are not. High poverty aid, sparsity aid, supplemental aid. And yes, this is a real thing. Student transportation over ice is an aid that we are obviously not eligible for. But again, we have limitations because of just who we are as a school district on what types of state aid we are eligible for. And then these are the rest of the dates that I've just mentioned. There's really going to be no board action between now and September 29. But know that there are things that will kind of come in that will shape the stuff at the annual meeting and budget hearing. And then even between then and the actual budget in October 26th, things will likely change as well. We use our best, I mean, we have financial tools. Patrick works with other Waukesha County business officials. We are always working with state associations. We're always talking to our legislators. And then we're also always looking for other revenue streams that are not seen here. But those are the dates for future budgetary issues. At this point, Patrick and I will entertain any questions. We're actually not asking for approval tonight. We'll be seeking approval at the next meeting.
Yeah, just one question. Sorry if you already said this, but what's driving the decrease in the state aid at the moment?
So, because we made a move of $6 million from fund balance to essentially fund the capital maintenance, that shows on the balance sheet as we overspent our budget. And when you overspend there are several factors that impact state aid: enrollment, property values, and the amount that you spend in your budget. And so when we spend that much over budget, typically you're going to have a reduction in state aid. The hold harmless amount is 15%. The reason that we did that is when you spend over your budget, you're going to have up to that hold harmless every year. And so by spending that money all in 1 year, we're hoping to mitigate the number of years we have that 15%. If we can have that 1 year, that's really good for the taxpayers, as opposed to we take $1 million to every year into our capital maintenance fund.
Got it, thank you. Second thing was, if we wanted to keep the tax levy flat year over year, would the offset be less money available to pay off debt? Would that be the logical place to pull from?
Well, we can't put less money in to pay off debt because we're obligated to it. So we can't, and also at this point in time, we're so close to having the debt paid off, there really is no advantage to paying off some of the debt when it becomes callable in another year. If we had a considerable amount of debt and a lot of years to pay, we could probably save some interest payments if we did that. We're so close to the end that there just really isn't a lot of benefit to that. We did do that a few years ago. Mm-hmm. That was one of the years that we did spend down some fund balance because we had a decent pocket of debt that was callable. And we used some fund balance to pay that off. I think we saved at that point in time $400,000 or $500,000 overall in interest payments.
Okay, so we're not actively prepaying debt anymore, we're just making the required minimum payments?
Correct, because this debt, this isn't like home mortgage debt or car payment debt. This is debt as an investment, and so we can't just pay it off whenever we want. The the term is called callable, so that's built into the contract so that the investors are actually getting some of their investment out of that. So, can't just, it's not like, I wish we could just pay it off whenever we want, but it's a different kind of debt.
If you have any questions between, oh, Matt, go ahead. Oh, the other Matt, sorry.
This might be a tricky one. So the homes that were petitioning to be part of our district, the last couple of months, as I understand, they've been turned down by CPI.
Correct.
The tax levy for them is flowing to our district or to West Dallas?
So the city tax is, but not the school district tax. But when we did absorb those other homes, that is now funneling through the school district.
Okay. Do we expect anything beyond what has happened to date with that, or is that kind of dead in the water?
Well, as of this year, it's done, and I'm sure they will reapply again next year, which has essentially been happening ever since I've been here. Some cases it's, a bunch of residents, in some cases just a handful. This last time it was a small pocket, a medium-sized pocket, and a larger pocket, but unfortunately they were all denied.
Okay.
But that's why West Dallas, West Milwaukee, like we recommend it for we approve it. West Dallas, West Milwaukee denies it. It goes to DPI for an appeal, and then it's determined there.
There's nothing beyond that for petition for them? There's no,
Not this time around. They would have to re-petition.
okay, thanks.
Again, go ahead.
Yeah, one other quick thing. So, governor election in November and number of lawsuits related to education in Wisconsin, Act 10, then the other lawsuit saying education's been chronically underfunded, et cetera. Would any of that impact this budget, or is that all future problems?
That's going to impact future budgets. The only thing that could impact this budget is the legislation that was just voted down in the Senate. If that does come back and it's approved, I'm assuming if they re-vote, it'll be approved again in the Assembly and it would go to the Senate. If it's approved by the Senate, that would not only impact the budget that we're just finishing up, but then it would also impact next year's budget, the 26-27.
And what I would say is, if things like Act 10, or even I believe that other, the lack of funding from the legislature, I do believe that those would significantly negatively impact the school district of New Berlin. It would be catastrophic.
All right, regular agenda item B. Do I have a motion for approval of federal tax credit scholarship program resolution?
I motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
I have a motion by Ron and a motion by Matt and a second by Ron to approve. Any discussion?
Yeah, so this, again, just the federal, so Wisconsin needs to opt in order to access these dollars that were made available through the One Big Beautiful Bill Act. I did share earlier today, I apologize for sending it later, but the Badger Institute, I did provide my insights to the Badger Institute, where I do think the biggest thing is, if all these other states are opting in, at least allow our families and our children to have the same opportunities that all of these other families and kids are going to have. And it just doesn't make sense to me. I mean, I think we're one of only 2 states that have actually opted out. That would be us and Minnesota. And this is, we're seeing opt-ins from both Democratic states and Republican states. Even New York City has opted in. Again, just give us a shot. And this resolution will be sent to the governor's office. It'll be sent to our local legislators. And then we will be sharing this resolution with other school districts to essentially be a model resolution to encourage other boards and other administrators across the state of Wisconsin to encourage this opt-in. Similarly, Matt, to your question about the election, I do know that some of the Democratic candidates have already suggested that they would be opting in, even though Governor Evers has not. And then Tom Tiffany, I think, who's the leading candidate on the Republican side, has also said that he would opt in as well. So there is some light out there. I do know that they are recommending opting in by December of 2027, so there is time. And even if it doesn't happen at that time, there is opportunity for future years to be considered for opting in as well. But I think this will help with the momentum of drawing attention to our local community and to others of, don't let this opportunity go to the wayside on behalf of our students and their families.
So, or would we be the first district that is formulating something like this?
I believe
Wisconsin?
I believe we are one of probably none at this point that I'm aware of.
Okay.
So we recommend approval of the resolution as presented.
Give me 1 second. Yeah. So all those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. Next is the approval of student screen time dashboard policy proposal. Do I have a motion?
Yeah. So just to,
Sorry, I need a motion. Do you want a motion to approve it?
I motion to approve the proposal as presented.
Second it.
Are we going to discuss it?
Yeah. I hate how this is worded, but
Okay.
yes. I have a motion by Matt and a second by Renee to approve any discussion. Sorry. I have a motion by Matt and a second by Renee to approve. Any discussion?
Yeah, so a little bit of background for this, or on this for the board. So really good digital presentation by the administration at the last meeting. I think we're all excited as to where this goes next. And so the purpose of this was to put forth a policy, which I think will now be a directive, that states the administration will put in place a dashboard to systematically track screen time for all school-issued devices for students. It's a tool that would be used for analysis for the administration and also to provide relevant information for the board for policy decision-making. And then the second piece of it is it would also enable parents to have greater insight into screen time for their kids. It sounds like some of this is easier to implement than other pieces of it. It sounds like the administration is looking into this, working with vendors to figure out what's applicable. And so at the current time, it seems more appropriate to put this forward as a future directive / goal for the administration rather than a policy that would become effective today. And so I believe the current initiative is we will vote on making this a goal at the upcoming goal-setting session this summer. So with that being said, I'll stop for any questions or discussion.
Okay, I've got a couple of questions. Are you working with Securely? Is that, like,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Did we collaborate with anybody through the district to make the policy, or?
So it was based on the knowledge that we are currently using Securely, and I looked at Securely's current functionality, specifically as it relates to Securely Reveal, which is a module bolt-on to, I believe, our current setup. And it looked like the administrative side of this proposal is already available in Securely Reveal. And it sounds like Securely Reveal is also working on the parent insight side of this as well, though that's not fully built out.
Like, did anybody, like, go through this with you, with the district? Like, did you get any insight from anybody?
No.
Okay. So what would our minimal cost be? I know you said it was minimal, but I don't know. I mean, that's decently subjective?
Yeah, Securely Reveal I saw it's estimated about $5 per student. And so even
Yep.
at the high end.
And so I do want to just clarify. So I have been working with Matt since this was proposed, and we've had really good discussions related to it. I think one of the reservations that we had was the timing of it, was, starting July 1. We don't think we will have a solution available by that time. I will say that we already do subscribe to Reveal, so we do have access to Reveal. It has become more robust, I would say, recently than it had been. So I know that, we had kind of shared emails back and forth of, what type of data are we actually able to access as a district, which is a lot of the better information that we want is through Reveal. And then because of the initial, or the wave of concern related to screen time, Securely is actually in the development stages of developing this dashboard that, Matt's envisioned. I know Renee, after the last board meeting, had mentioned stuff to our team as well related to this. We talked about it. It's just very early. Our goal is to actually, we are good partners with Securely. I want to be able to actually pilot whatever dashboards they might have for families as has been proposed. I want to kind of get in the ground level, help them develop it, actually, live and learn with Reveal to kind of iron out like the usability, the functionality, and the feasibility related to this. Back to your original question, Mandy, we don't know what that cost of those dashboards will be at this time, just because it is in the early stages. If we happen to partner with them as a pilot, sometimes you can receive expense reductions as a result of that because we were in on the ground level with them. That's TBD, of course, I can't guarantee that. But we don't know what those costs will be at this time. But we are currently invested in the Securely Reveal solution.
Couple more, hang with me. Okay, so let me preface with I think that this is a wonderful thing. I'm all about this dashboard, transparency as a parent. Of course, I want as much as I can get. The only thing that gives me pause, I don't know if I can hear, where did it go? Okay, so the custom alerts thresholds. So where it says optional parent set notifications if daily screen time exceeds a chosen limit. I worry about how that will affect teachers depending on how that is set up. I just, you have a class of 20 kids. If every child's parent has a different preference for how much screen time they are allowed to have per day, I can see that getting very difficult for a teacher to be able to teach. Furthermore, state testing, like where would those notifications be going off? And like, would there be a threshold for teachers to be able to say, this is the baseline? Or a parent's gonna be able to come in and say, I don't want my kid to be on it for more than a half an hour a day?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that's something we would discuss and parse out, because I do think based on the class and based on the curriculum, you would want to have different screen time limits to not inhibit teachers, but also get good notifications if the parent's expectation is the student is spending an hour per day and it's actually closer to 5 or 6 hours. We just wanted something that would pop out to the parent to say what's happening is not within your expectations.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess if we're gonna approve something like this, that would be my biggest pause to not approve it unless maybe we reword it or work with somebody within the district to kind of come up with a baseline, just to help the teachers be able to do their job.
And I do think that that's something that, Matt and I have discussed, what are the implications of this? And we're still trying to navigate that internally as well. And so our recommendation from the administrative team is to not, again, as Matt mentioned, we're not recommending approval of this policy as is presented, but instead have it be incorporated as a board goal and or eventually one of my specific goals as we head into the next school year. And then, again, I think we think this is a great idea also. It's just the timing may not align with the possible solution that's available to us.
That's all I have. Again, I think it's a wonderful idea. That's the only part that gives me a little bit of pause, but thank you.
So I just wanted to say I strongly support Matt's proposal. I think last meeting 2 weeks ago, we discussed, a lot of parents were coming to us about screen time and not being able to see how much time that their kids were spending on screens. So this is transparency. We've had an overwhelming amount of requests from parents for this. So the only concern that I expressed kind of privately to Matt, and I'll do it openly here, is we don't want to completely restrict kids from devices, especially, and I'll just say, I'm an example. I have a 7-year-old daughter in school, and for security reasons and for safety reasons, we want to be able to get a hold of her. So a full restriction would be a no-go for me, but, and for that reason purposely.
I also strongly support this. I disagree with Matt. No offense. I would really like to investigate what a bell-to-bell cell phone restriction further than what we have now would look like, especially at middle school and high school.
So, I mean, I think we talked a lot about this. I'm a big proponent of locking down. I'm not against more time to use iPads on actual curriculum things. I think the bigger problem we have is YouTube, just open access to internet, and I think that's the bigger piece in getting a tool into parents' hands that can say, my child's on YouTube for 7 hours a week or a month or whatever it is, and having them have that visibility. I think we owe it to them. I know teachers are doing the best they can, but there's 20 kids in a classroom, and it can be difficult to manage, or 30 kids in some classrooms, and it can be very difficult to manage. And I think if parents have that information, it's a tool.
Just a general update. So when we last presented, we had shared that our 4-year-old kindergarten through 3rd grade students are restricted on YouTube already. Moving into next year, we are restricting 4th grade YouTube access as well. So they would have no access to YouTube. The only access that they would have is if a teacher presents something from YouTube. That, of course, is in the classroom, but it's not available on their device. Note that we are also looking at restricting YouTube for 5th grade as well. We are currently working with our teaching staff to just determine what those implications could be. And so we are also looking at restricting YouTube for 5th grade heading into next year as well. And if it's not next year, it would be the year after for sure.
I have another question if nobody else has one. One thing that I also get from parents is not always necessarily the amount of screen time, but where the screen time is also taking place. Is there any way when we put out this dashboard that we see it like they're going to gym or they're going to the library? Do we need to bring our iPads to gym? Is that something that we could cut so then that's one less little piece of tech time that they have? Did you look into that at all?
Yeah, so in the Securely Reveal product synopsis, they did talk about being able to drill into screen time by time of day or by class. And so you could get very granular to see these are the classes that the student is using the device in, these are the times of the day that the student is using the device, and then you can back into, are they using it in gym class or not?
It becomes very difficult, though, because they don't have gym at the exact same time every single day and every single day. So it's analysis by paralysis. There's only so much, I assume, with the data analytics that you can really look at a high level at a school or at a classroom and be able to look at. Now, drilling into your individual student, they might have that ability, but I don't know what functionality they would have in that. But I'm guessing that becomes more and more difficult.
And again, the other thing that I want to share is this parent dashboard is still in the developmental stages. It's not available yet. So there are a lot of questions, but another reason why we would want a pilot is because then some of this feedback that I'm hearing from you, we can share with them as they're trying to customize this solution.
Do you want to wait to review this with Joe for another meeting and revise it, or do you?
Yeah, would we take the vote now to add this as a goal at an upcoming meeting, or
I think we'd have to revise the motion.
we'd have to revise the motion?
Yeah, my suggestion would be that we table the vote at this time as it is, or rescind the motion, and then we could come back. I did speak to Janet. She is in support of moving this into a goal for the board as well as for me, which would be for the administration. And we could have that vote at the next meeting.
Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
Do we have to rescind the vote? Yeah. Do you want to rescind?
I motion to rescind the policy as presented in context of the current discussion.
Can you second?
Second.
All those in favor? Raise your right hand. All those opposed? All right. So I think we're all in agreement that you'll work on that and come with a proposal. The last item is action items discussed in closed session. Do I have a motion to approve items discussed in closed session?
I'll make a motion to approve the employment performance matters pertaining to staff as presented.
Second.
I have a motion by Ron and a second by Amanda to approve. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes. Oh, you guys are really giving me a hard time today. All right. Board meetings, future meetings and dates. Board meetings are generally held on the second and fourth Monday, beginning at 7 PM in Conference Room E at District Office, unless noted otherwise. The next meetings are June 22nd, July 27th, August 10th, and then other important dates are June 12th is the last day of the school year. June 12th is Eisenhower's graduation as well. And the next day, June 13th, is West's graduation. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
I have a motion by Ron and a second by Renee to adjourn. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. All those opposed? Motion passes.